Be normal. A quiet night with familiar laughter. Ellen passed mashed potatoes to Emily while Tom sliced meatloaf with ease. Mike and Emily joked between bites, filling the room with casual noise. From the outside, their Ohio home looked perfect. Neat, welcoming, walls lined with family photos. But Ellen felt the tension simmering beneath the surface. As Tom shared a story, her eyes flicked to an empty chair. Her fingers trembled slightly. "Mike, sit up straight," she said softly. He rolled his eyes but obeyed. Emily giggled, teasing him about doing dishes. Tom laughed, lightening the mood. Ellen caught Tom's eye and felt a fleeting warmth. But inside, the weight of a hidden secret gnawed at her. Emily talked about her biology project, Mike teased, and Tom told store stories. Yet Ellen's mind wandered. When Emily asked if she was okay, Ellen forced a smile. "Just thinking." Mike joked about family secrets. Ellen laughed hollowly. Tom reminisced about younger days, and Ellen's heart tightened. Dinner ended. Ellen told the kids to do homework, brushing off Emily's offer to help. Emily's gaze lingered, concerned. "Are you sure you're okay?" she asked. "I'm fine, sweetheart," Ellen replied, touching her shoulder. After the kids left, Ellen stared at the empty chair, haunted by the past and the choice that changed everything. Tom appeared, gently resting hands on her shoulders. "You seem quiet," he said. "Something on your mind?" "Just tired," she lied. He smiled and promised to check on Mike. Later, Ellen washed dishes, catching her reflection, eyes worn, heavy with secrets. Memories of lonely nights with Tom's letters surfaced. She'd made a choice then, a choice she now regretted deeply. A knock startled her. It was late. Tom got up to check. At the door stood Laura, her sister, pale and desperate. "I need your help," Laura said. Tom, surprised, asked, "Is this your sister?" Ellen gripped her nightgown. "Laura, now's not the time. It's Sophie. She's had an accident," Laura pleaded. "She's in the hospital. I'm lost." The name struck Ellen like lightning. She tried to push Laura away, but Tom convinced her to listen. Laura stepped inside, dropping her bag. Ellen closed the door on the fragile piece of their home. "Sit down," Tom offered. Laura shook her head, voice shaky. "Sophie's hurt badly, broken bones, concussion, liver damage. She needs surgery. I don't know how to pay." Ellen folded her arms, wary. "Why come to me now?" Laura's hands clenched. "Because you're family. I have nowhere else." Tom asked about the surgery and how they could help. Laura said it was urgent and expensive. "Sophie's only 19. She needs you." Ellen's knees weakened. Sophie was a baby when last seen, now fighting for her life. Laura's arrival tore open old wounds. "We'll figure this out," Tom said. "Let's call the hospital." Ellen nodded, but her voice was cold. "Showing up like this isn't fair." Laura's eyes flashed. "Do you think this was easy?" "Enough," Tom said firmly. "History aside, we help Sophie." Ellen wanted to scream. Laura was the past she tried to bury. "I'll stay nearby," Laura said softly. "I don't want to embarrass you, but Sophie needs help." Tom softened. "Give us the hospital info. We'll call in the morning." Laura handed him a crumpled paper, whispered thanks, and glanced at Ellen, who looked away. "I should go." Tom saw her out, promising to call soon. Ellen stood frozen, hands trembling as the door closed behind Laura. Tom returned, concern heavy in his voice. "Ellen, what's going on? Why are you so shut down? This is your sister. Her daughter's hurt. Maybe you can finally tell me what happened between you." Ellen's eyes dropped to the floor. "It's complicated, Tom. I'm not ready." "Complicated?" He stepped closer, voice firmer. "She came for help and you looked at her like an enemy. It's more than a fight, isn't it?" Ellen met his gaze, pain clear. "Not now. I'll figure it out," he sighed, tension easing. "Okay, but we can't ignore this. We'll call the hospital tomorrow." Ellen nodded, lost in thought as Tom went upstairs. Alone, she sank into the couch, clutching a pillow. Laura's visit had brought the past crashing back, relentless and unforgiving. Ellen knew this was just the beginning. Her fragile life, carefully pieced together, was starting to unravel. Alone in the dark, she listened to the ticking clock and distant creaks upstairs. Probably Mike or Emily, disturbed by the night's turmoil. She clenched the pillow, wishing she could pretend last night's knock was a nightmare. But the past she'd locked away had returned, demanding attention. Morning came gray and cold over suburban Ohio. The Harper house, usually alive with breakfast noise, felt unnervingly still. Ellen sat at the kitchen table, clutching a cold coffee cup, eyes fixed on a crack in the tile. Sleep had eluded her since Laura left, and fear and guilt swirled relentlessly in her mind. Tom entered, his usual warmth replaced by tension and heavy steps. He stood silently in the doorway before pouring coffee and sitting opposite her cautiously. "Did you call the hospital?" he asked quietly but firmly. "Or are we pretending yesterday didn't happen?" Ellen's grip tightened. "Not yet. I was going to, but what?" Tom pressed, voice sharp. "Your sister shows up in the middle of the night saying her daughter's hurt, and you say nothing?" "What's going on? You owe me the truth." She opened her mouth, but no words came. She wanted to explain Laura, the past, the shock, but the truth was too heavy. She shook her head. "It's hard, Tom. Give me time." His frustration boiled over. "Hard? You looked at her like an enemy. It's your sister. Her daughter's in trouble. What did she do that you won't even talk to her?" Ellen's nails dug into her palms. She wanted to scream that Laura was a mirror of her guilt. But before she could answer, the doorbell rang sharply, echoing the night before. Tom stood, face darkening. "It must be her. This time we'll settle it. You need to talk." Ellen followed, heart pounding, dreading the reunion. When Tom opened the door, Laura stood on the porch, paler than before, eyes red from tears or sleeplessness. Her jacket was the same, but exhaustion weighed heavier. "I didn't want to come back so soon." Laura's voice trembled. "But the doctor called. It's urgent. Ellen, please listen." Tom stepped aside. "Come in. We were just talking about you." Ellen crossed her arms, guarded. "Laura, we said we'd think about it," she said coldly, panic beneath her words. "You can't just—" "Enough!" Tom cut her off, stern. "Let her speak. No games." Laura hesitated but entered, bag over her shoulder, fingers twisting the strap. "I shouldn't be here," she said, eyes flicking between them. "Sophie's liver is badly damaged. She needs a donor. Ellen, you're the only match." Ellen's knees buckled. She leaned on the wall, breath uneven. "What? Why me?" Laura's gaze held pain and fierce determination. "Because Sophie is your daughter," she said softly, every word a stone. "You're her mother." The silence was crushing. Ellen's heart stopped. Tom's face twisted in shock, disbelief, rage. "What did she say?" he growled. "Ellen, what did she just say?" Ellen couldn't speak. Memories flooded, youth, loneliness, the secret pregnancy, the choice to give Sophie away. I can explain," she whispered weakly, doubting even her own words. "Explain," Tom demanded, stepping closer, anger raw. "Sophie's your daughter. This is real." He slammed his voice like a hammer. "Answer me." Laura raised hands, pleading. "Tom, it's complicated. We did this for Ellen, for both of you. She was young. You were away." "Shut up," Tom snapped, glaring at Laura. "I want to hear it from her." Turning back, eyes full of pain, he said, "Tell me it's a lie. Tell me she's lying." Ellen's tears fell. She wanted to deny it, call it a mistake, but the truth, hidden for 20 years, stood between them. "It's true," she broke, voice shaking. "Sophie's mine." Tom recoiled as if struck, fists clenched, breath heavy, trying to hold back the storm. 20 years, he finally whispered, hoarse. "You lied for 20 years, had a daughter, and gave her away. How?" Ellen stepped forward, hands reaching out, but he pulled away. "Tom, please," she begged through tears. "I was young, alone. I didn't know what to do. I thought it was best." "Best?" His voice cracked as he punched the wall. "You gave away your child, hid it from me, from us. Who are you?" "I thought I knew you." He fell silent, eyes full of pain. "I don't know you." Laura stepped forward quietly. "Tom, it's not all her fault. I took Sophie. I wanted to help. We both made mistakes. I said shut up." Tom's anger flared red. "You knew. You stayed silent, both of you." Ellen sobbed, covering her face. "Tom, please let me explain. I never wanted this." "Enough!" he snapped coldly. "Not now." He looked at Laura. "You needed help for Sophie? Fine, we'll help. But then you'll leave. I don't want to see you anymore." Laura nodded, tears in her eyes. "I'm staying at a motel on Route 23. I'll give you the doctor's number." She handed Tom a crumpled paper. "I'm sorry, but she deserves to live." Ellen looked away. Laura left, footsteps fading into the morning silence. After the door closed, Ellen collapsed onto the sofa, her body shaking. Everything she'd built, their marriage, their family, felt like it was falling apart. Tom stood by the window, tense and silent, fists clenched. His silence hit harder than any shout. "Tom," she whispered, voice breaking. "I love you. I did it to protect us." He turned, eyes empty and cold. "Protect us? You destroyed us, Ellen. You ruined everything." His heavy footsteps led to the front door slamming behind him and his truck roaring to life. Ellen was left alone in crushing silence. The secret she'd buried for 20 years now lay between them like a tool, its wounds unlikely to heal. Tears slipped through her fingers as she covered her face. Above, a floorboard creaked. Probably Mike or Emily, stirred by the chaos. Soon she'd have to face their questions, their pain. But for now, she sat alone, watching her life unravel. The house was thick with silence, clinging like morning fog over suburban Ohio. Ellen clutched the pillow Tom had left behind, his words echoing, "You ruined everything." Each syllable a blow. Gray morning light filtered through the curtains, cold and empty. Upstairs, the floorboard creaked again. Her children would soon wake, and she'd have to confront the truth with them. She closed her eyes, ragged breaths catching tears long dried. She didn't want to revisit those years, those nights, those choices that changed everything. But Laura's revelation was a wound bleeding memories she could no longer deny. She was 22 when Tom left for work. They'd been married just a year, their small wedding still fresh in her mind. She waited for him faithfully, writing love letters in their cramped apartment. But loneliness dragged on like a storm. At an insurance office, surrounded by people living freer lives, she found comfort in David. A kind man, older, with a warm smile. He wasn't Tom, she never loved him. But with him, she felt alive. Their coffees turned to dinners. Dinners to nights she tried to erase. It wasn't love, just an escape from emptiness. When she found out she was pregnant, the world stopped. Alone in the bathroom, heart racing. Tom, thousands of miles away. His letters spoke of a future she couldn't face. She couldn't tell him. Not yet, not like this. But she wasn't ready to be a mother alone. She called Laura, her sister in Cincinnati, chasing support. Laura arrived, worry in her eyes. Ellen confessed everything. David, the pregnancy, the fear. Laura listened, serious but kind. "What will you do?" Laura asked. "I don't know," Ellen cried. "I can't lose the baby, but I can't lose Tom either." Laura took her hand, steady and warm. "You don't have to decide alone. This child deserves life. You can't just erase it." "I could," Ellen whispered. "I could give him to you. Raise him like your own." Laura's eyes met hers. "I mean it. You're my sister. I won't let this ruin me." "But it's your choice. You'll live with it." Ellen was silent, torn. She knew Laura was right, but giving away her child, her and someone else's, felt like a knife twisting inside. She thought of Tom, their promises, and knew she couldn't protect either if the truth surfaced. She agreed. The pregnancy stayed secret. Ellen took a vacation to Laura's, away from prying eyes. Laura helped, but tension grew. Laura grew attached to the child not yet born, stirring gratitude and pain. When Sophie was born, Ellen held her briefly, dark-eyed and knowing, then handed her to Laura, heart-shattering. Laura left with Sophie. Ellen returned to her life, writing to Tom, smiling on calls, praying he'd never learn. But every stroller, every child's laugh brought the past crashing back, relentless. Ellen opened her eyes, breath heavy. The living room felt foreign, ready to collapse. Her fingers trembled as she touched the doctor's number Laura left, unable to call. Regret washed over her. Loneliness, lies, what she gave Sophie. But she told herself she was young, lost, trying to save their future. She hoped Laura could give Sophie a better life. She hoped to forget. But now Sophie lay in a hospital bed, and Tom looked at Ellen like a stranger. The price of her choice was still rising. Footsteps crept down the stairs. Emily, in pajamas, hair messy, eyes anxious. "Mom, what happened?" she asked softly. "I heard Dad yelling. Where is he?" Ellen swallowed hard, throat dry. The truth was out, and she couldn't hide anymore. "He's gone, honey," she whispered. "We need to talk." Emily sat close, pale and trembling. "Is it because of your sister? Why are you so angry at her?" Ellen's heart ached. She wanted to shield them, but the truth was coming. "It's complicated," she said, voice low. "I'll explain soon. Just give me time." Emily nodded, but her eyes held endless questions. Ellen reached for her hand, weak but real. This was only the beginning, the hidden past now touching everyone she loved. Rain tapped steadily on the Harper house. blending with the heavy silence that filled the room. The Ohio neighborhood, usually bursting with kids' laughter and street games, was muted, like it felt the storm brewing inside one family. By the fireplace, Ellen fiddled with her sweater's hem, eyes fixed on their wedding photo. Young, hopeful smiles mocking the present. The truth about Sophie hung over her like poison. Upstairs, footsteps echoed. Mike and Emily awake but silent, their quiet a knife in her heart. She knew she'd have to face them soon, but first she had to face Tom, who'd left hours earlier with only his words lingering. "You ruined everything." On the table lay Laura's crumpled note with the doctor's number. Ellen couldn't call, not yet. Not while her family teetered on the edge. The door creaked. Tom returned, rain dripping from his jacket, hair plastered to his forehead. His face was worn, but his eyes burned with quiet resolve, more terrifying than his morning fury. He paused in the doorway, jacket still on, unsure how long he'd stay. "I was at Jim's," he said low and calm, like he'd spent hours battling the storm inside. "Trying to figure this out, but I can't pretend nothing happened. I need to know everything. Who's Sophie's father? Why hide her? How could you stay silent all these years?" Ellen's hands trembled. She expected rage, but his cold tone was worse. "Tom, I want to explain," she whispered, pleading for understanding. "This isn't just a story. It's my biggest mistake, and I live with it every day." Tom crossed his arms, steady but harsh. "Then tell me, say his name. Why choose lies over truth?" "I deserve that," she nodded, throat tight. "His name was David. We worked together. It wasn't love, just loneliness while you were away. I wrote you every day, but it broke me." Tom's eyes flashed with pain. "Weakness," he repeated bitterly. "You had a child by another man and gave her away. Why didn't you tell me when you could?" Tears burned Ellen's eyes. "I was scared. I thought it would destroy us. You were everything. Laura offered to raise Sophie. I thought I could forget." Tom searched her face. "Forget. You never forgot. You carried that secret while raising Mike and Emily. Every smile was a lie. How could you look at our kids knowing you had another daughter?" Ellen sobbed, clutching her sweater. "I hated myself every day, but I thought that was the price for our family's happiness. I was wrong." Tom nodded, exhausted. "You were, and now Sophie's in the hospital. We can't ignore this. You have to help her, not because Laura asked, but because she's your daughter. No debate." Ellen's eyes filled with tears. "I'll help, whatever it takes." He exhaled, shoulders dropping. "Okay, but this doesn't fix anything. I heard you, but I can't forgive. Not yet, maybe never. You broke the trust." She stepped closer, voice pleading. "Tom, please, for Mike and Emily. They shouldn't suffer for my mistakes." His eyes held pain, but also resolve. "I don't want to hurt them. We'll protect the kids, explain everything. But we can't stay together, not after this. I'll stay with Jim tonight. Tomorrow, we figure out Sophie, the kids, how to live, separately, but together." Ellen's heart clenched, like someone ripped a piece from it. She wanted to scream, beg, but his words were final. "Tom," she whispered, voice breaking, "I love you." For a moment, the old Tom, the one who winked at dinner, flashed in his eyes. Then he was gone. "I loved you too," he said quietly. "But it's not enough." He left. The soft click of the door louder than any slam. Ellen sank into the sofa, trembling, tears flowing. Upstairs, hidden on the stairs, Mike and Emily had heard everything. Mike stood, fists clenched, face red with anger. "She ruined everything," he muttered. "Lied to Dad, lied to us, and now he's gone." Turning to Emily, eyes burning, he said, "I'm leaving. I don't want to see her." Emily grabbed his hand, voice shaky. "Mike, wait. We need to talk to her. She's still our mom, and Dad said they want to protect us. Maybe we can fix this." Mike pulled away, face hardening. "Protect us? She destroyed our family." "I don't believe her." He stormed upstairs. "I'm packing." "Don't stop me." Emily stayed on the stairs, tears streaming, heartbreaking. She wanted to comfort her mom, but felt trapped by fear and confusion. Their family, once warm and safe, was now on the edge, and she didn't know how to hold it together. Ellen heard Mike's footsteps upstairs and the slam of his door, her heart sinking deeper. She knew the kids had overheard, and the thought of facing their anger was almost unbearable. With trembling legs, she slowly climbed the stairs. She stopped at Emily's door, hearing quiet sobs. Knocking softly, she whispered, "Emily, are you there, honey?" The door cracked open. Emily stood, pale and red-eyed. "Mom?" she asked, voice heavy with pain. "Dad left. Mike wants to leave. What's going on? Why is this happening?" Tears ran down Ellen's cheeks as she stepped forward, wrapping Emily in a shaky hug. "I made mistakes, sweetie, for a long time. Now everything's falling apart. But I promise I'll protect you and Mike. We'll get through this." Emily nodded, doubt clouding her eyes. "And Dad? Will he come back?" Ellen shook her head, voice breaking. "I don't know, but we'll stick together, okay? You, me, Mike. We can handle it." Emily pressed close, and Ellen's heart shattered. She knew Mike's forgiveness wouldn't come easy, that Tom might never return, and that Sophie waited in the hospital. Their family's trust was crumbling like an old house in a storm, and Ellen wasn't sure she had the strength to rebuild. But for Emily, Mike, and Sophie, she had to try. Outside, rain fell relentlessly, whispering that the storm wasn't over. Ellen held Emily's warmth and prayed she could survive what lay ahead. Later, Ellen sat at the kitchen table, gripping her car keys, eyes fixed on the doctor's number she finally called. The hospital conversation was brief, but brutal. Words like Sophie, surgery, donor slammed into her, reminding her of the daughter she gave away 2 decades ago. Tom hadn't come home. His truck stayed with Jim, his absence a bleeding wound. Mike had fled to his friend's house, his anger sharp, while Emily stayed quiet, eyes full of questions Ellen couldn't answer. But Tom's words echoed in her mind. "You must help Sophie." She couldn't delay anymore. Today she would visit Sophie. Fear and a strange warmth battled inside her. She put on her coat with a mechanical motions, afraid to think too much. Leaving a note for Emily. "Back for dinner. Call if you need me. Love you." She drove off. The radio came on, then went off. Music felt wrong, like laughter at a funeral. The road to Columbus was familiar, but every turn felt like stepping toward an abyss. St. Anne's Hospital greeted her with antiseptic smell and distant voices. Her heart raced as she asked for Sophie Davis. A tired nurse pointed to the elevator. "Room 312, 3rd floor. Her mother's there now. Are you family?" Ellen froze. The word mother cut like a knife. Laura, not her, was Sophie's mom. "I'm her aunt," she lied, voice barely there. She walked unsteady to the elevator, catching her reflection, pale, tired, older than her years. 20 years ago, she was hopeful and lost. Now, broken by choices made long ago. Room 312's door was ajar. She paused, hand on the handle, hearing Laura's quiet voice inside. Memories of their last fight crashing back. Taking a deep breath, Ellen entered. Laura sat beside the bed, hair messy, face pale, eyes bright as she spoke to Sophie. Ellen froze. Sophie lay there, pale, dark-haired like Laura, but with features so like Emily's, it felt like a blow. Laura saw Ellen, tensed, then nodded. "You came," she said softly, hope flickering. "I didn't expect you," Ellen replied, voice steadier than she felt. "How is she?" Sophie turned weakly, eyes focusing. "Who are you?" Ellen's heart jumped. Truth caught in her throat. "I'm Ellen," she said, voice shaking. "Aunt? Mom's sister?" Sophie nodded, eyes closing, exhausted. Laura stood, fingers fidgeting. "Let's talk," she said quietly, leading Ellen out. At the window, Laura paused, weariness and resolve in her eyes. "Thanks for coming." "I know this is hard." Ellen crossed her arms, cold. "I'm not here for you. Tom told me to help Sophie. I want to see her." Laura nodded, eyes downcast. "You should know what this means. Sophie's liver is damaged. She needs a donor. You're her only chance. They'll test you." Ellen's knees shook, leaning on the wall, breath ragged, she whispered, "Tests? And then what?" "Then you can save her," Laura said, tears in her eyes. "She's smart, stubborn, loves to draw, like me. She deserves a chance." Ellen stared out as rain gave way to weak sun that failed to warm her. Sophie's face, so like Emily's, filled her with burning guilt. She'd given Sophie away, and now the child fought for life. "Tell me about her," Ellen said softly. "What's she like?" Laura's voice softened. Sophie was a handful. Early talker, endless questions, top in art, hated math. She wanted to know about you, her past. I told her you were busy, had a life. She wasn't angry, but I saw her pain. Tears filled Ellen's eyes. "You raised her well, better than I could." Laura shook her head, tears falling. "Don't say that. I loved her, but I always knew she was yours. Now it's your choice." Ellen's gaze dropped to the checkerboard floor, holding Sophie as a newborn, giving her to Laura. She thought she was doing right. Now she saw the scars that choice left on everyone. She wanted to run, but Sophie's image held her fast. I'll do the tests, Ellen said, voice firm despite shaking hands. For Sophie, Laura exhaled, shoulders loosening. Thank you, I'll call the doctor. They can start today. Ellen nodded, but feared facing Sophie again. What if she finds out? What if she hates me? She whispered. Don't tell her who I am. Not yet. I'm not ready. Laura's eyes were full of understanding and pain. Okay, but she deserves to know someday. Ellen left the hospital, weighed down by the past. She sat in her car, hands gripping the wheel, tears streaming. Sophie's face, so much like Emily's, stared back, a mirror of all she'd lost. The weight of guilt pressed on Ellen, but beneath it flickered a faint hope, a chance, though late, to do right. It was a cold morning in suburban Ohio. The Harper house, once warm with family dinners and laughter, now felt empty, its walls heavy with silence after the truth about Sophie. Ellen sat at the kitchen table, clutching a cold mug of tea, her red, tired eyes fixated on the crumpled note she'd left for Emily. The hospital visit, Sophie's face resembling Emily's, and Laura's stories about her upbringing swirled in her mind. But now she faced another hard truth, the confusion and anger of her children. Mike came home that morning, his footsteps heavy, his face hidden beneath a hoodie like armor. He passed Ellen without a word, retreating to his room. That quiet rage was worse than any shouting. Emily sat in the living room with an unread book, stealing glances at Ellen, full of unasked questions. Tom was still with Jim, his absence and the harsh reality that they wouldn't live together hanging over Ellen like a dark cloud. She couldn't avoid her children any longer. The secrets she'd kept had already fractured their family. Now she had to try and mend it. Trembling, Ellen stood and called softly but firmly, Mike, Emily, we need to talk. Emily closed her book and nodded, her pale face anxious. Mike appeared on the stairs, eyes stormy and guarded. What? He demanded, voice sharp. What else are you hiding? Ellen swallowed hard, gesturing to the couch. Please sit. I want to tell you the truth, everything you deserve to know. Emily sat, eyes wide with worry. Mike stayed standing, face hard as stone. Is it true? He said with biting sarcasm. You think we'll believe you after all this? Ellen sank into the chair, hands gripping her knees. I know you're angry. You should be. I made a mistake years ago when I was young. I had a daughter, Sophie. I couldn't raise her, so Laura, my sister, took her. I thought it was best. But I was wrong. I hid it from you and Dad because I feared it would destroy us. Mike snorted, eyes narrowing. Destroy? You've already ruined everything. You lied your whole life. We have a sister, and you just threw her away. How? He stepped forward, fists clenched. You betrayed Dad. You betrayed us. I don't want to hear it. Ellen trembled, tears falling. Mike, please. I didn't throw her away. I thought Laura could give her a better life. I was scared. I didn't want you to suffer for my mistakes. Emily spoke quietly. What about Sophie? What's she like? Have you seen her? Does she know you're her mom? Ellen's heart tightened. I saw her yesterday. She's in the hospital after an accident. She looks like you, Emily. She doesn't know who I am. I told her I was her aunt, but she's strong, smart. Laura raised her well. Emily's eyes glistened with tears. I want to see her. She's our sister, right? Even if you gave her away. Ellen nodded softly. Yes, she's your sister. I'll do anything to help her. I promise to take donor tests. Mike shook his head, fury burning in his face. You think that fixes it? You lied. Pretended everything was fine. I can't trust you. Dad probably can't either. He turned, his steps heavy. I'm going to Brandon's, Ellen pleaded. Mike, please don't go. We need to stick together. Together. He spun around. We don't have a family anymore, Mom. You destroyed it. He stormed upstairs, slamming the door. Emily looked at Ellen, tears in her eyes. He's wrong, she whispered, but it still hurts. I don't know how to talk to you now. Ellen reached out, but Emily pulled away, fragile and distant. I understand, honey, Ellen said, voice breaking. Please, just give me a chance. Before Emily could answer, the front door opened. Tom stepped in, jacket dry, face weary, eyes cold as morning rain. He paused, scanning Ellen, then Emily. I heard voices. Is Mike here? He's upstairs, angry, Ellen said quietly, heart tight. Tom sighed, shoulders slumped. I'll talk to him. He turned to Emily. Come here, honey. Emily rose, unsteady, and walked to her father. Tom knelt, hands on her shoulders. Emily, listen. What happens between Mom and me isn't your fault. We both love you. I'm sorry you have to see this. It's not what we wanted. Tears filled Emily's eyes. Dad, will you come back? Tom squeezed her shoulders, pain in his gaze. I'll always be here for you. But with Mom, things are complicated. We'll figure it out. But you and Mike shouldn't change how you feel about her. She's your mom, and she loves you. Don't shut her out, even if you're angry. Okay. Emily whispered, tears falling. Tom stood and faced Ellen, his stare cold and distant. I spoke to the lawyer. I'm thinking about divorce. For the kids' sake. We can't make it messy. We have to stay in control. Ellen's heart stopped. Divorce felt like a knife. She nodded weakly. I understand. For Mike and Emily, I'll do whatever it takes. Tom nodded, eyes drifting to the stairs. I'll talk to Mike, then head back to Jim. We'll sort out Sophie tomorrow. Have you done the tests? Ellen nodded, eyes heavy. Yes, I was at the hospital. I saw her. A flicker of sympathy crossed Tom's face, then vanished. Okay, keep me posted. He went upstairs, heavy footsteps fading. Ellen sat trembling, hearing his voice talk to Mike, words muffled. Emily stared at the floor, and Ellen knew the secrets she hid had fractured them all. Tom, her, and the kids. She longed to comfort Emily, but feared rejection. Later, Tom sat in his truck by the motel on Route 23 where Laura stayed. His fingers clenched the wheel, eyes locked on the neon sign. Yesterday, he'd reassured the kids of his love, urging them not to push Ellen away, but his words to Ellen were cold as ice. Divorce wasn't just a choice. It was a necessity. He couldn't look at her without seeing the lie. But before moving on, he needed to understand Laura's role, why she kept the secret, and how the woman he loved could abandon her own child. Tom stepped out of his truck, boots crunching on gravel in front of the worn-down motel. The paint was peeling and the railings rusty. Laura had picked a cheap place. He knocked on room 12, his fist heavy with everything on his mind. The door swung open immediately, revealing Laura, disheveled, eyes red from exhaustion and tears. Tom, she said softly, wary, I didn't expect you. We need to talk, he said, voice steady but edged with steel. Can I come in? She nodded, stepping aside. The room smelled damp, cluttered with an open bag and scattered hospital papers. Laura sat on the bed's edge, twisting the hem of her sweater. I know you're angry, she began quietly. I don't blame you. But stop, Tom cut in sharply. It's Ellen who hid a child from me. You helped cover it up. Why? Why keep Sophie's existence a secret for 20 years? Laura swallowed hard, her voice trembling. It wasn't simple. Ellen panicked when she found out she was pregnant. You were away on duty. She was alone and scared. She didn't want a child by another man. I convinced her to keep the baby and said I'd raise Sophie as my own. I thought it would save Ellen. Tom's eyes burned with anger. Save her. You helped her lie to me for 2 decades. I lived with a woman who hid her daughter. And you were part of it. Laura's eyes flashed with anger. I did it for Ellen and for Sophie. I loved her and raised her. Ellen wanted to protect your marriage. I thought I was helping. Protect your marriage? Tom scoffed. She built it on lies. Worse, she abandoned her own child, held her and gave her away. I don't understand how someone could do that. Laura's shoulders sagged. She was young and afraid. We both made mistakes. But Sophie shouldn't suffer. Ellen agreed to donor tests. She wants to help. Tom paced to the window, staring at his truck gleaming in the morning light. She has to help. It's her daughter. But the betrayal? I can't live with that. Ellen didn't just lie. She rejected a part of herself. A part of us. Laura wiped tears away. You want a divorce, don't you? But think about Mike and Emily. Tom's voice hardened. They don't talk to me about my kids. I'll protect them, but I can't pretend things are fine. Ellen betrayed me and our family. This is the end. Laura nodded, trembling. I understand, but Sophie needs Ellen. Maybe Ellen needs her too. Don't take that away. Tom said nothing and left, footsteps echoing down the motel hallway. Sitting in his truck, gripping the wheel, he stared at the neon sign. His talk with Laura brought no peace, only a sharper awareness of how distant Ellen had become. Abandoning Sophie wasn't just a lie. It was a choice, one he couldn't forgive. He drove downtown to meet Jim's lawyer, Richard Kelly, a small office smelling of paper and coffee. Tom sat, fingers clenched. Tell me why you're here, Richard said calmly. My wife hid that she had a daughter, Tom said evenly, pain beneath his words. 20 years ago, she gave Sophie to her sister. I just found out. I can't live with it. Richard nodded. Divorce is serious but possible in Ohio for irreconcilable differences. Children, property, emotionally tough. Tom looked out at the wet streets. We have 2 kids. I don't want to hurt them more, but I can't stay with Ellen. She's not who I thought. This isn't just a lie. She abandoned our child. Richard took notes. Do you want full custody? No, Tom said firmly. Ellen's a good mom to Mike and Emily. I want fairness and speed. Richard promised to prepare the paperwork. If she agrees, it could be simple. Tom left, burdened by his decision. His phone buzzed, a message from Ellen. Tom, I took the tests. Doctors will update you tomorrow. Please call. He gripped the phone but didn't answer. Ellen was trying for Sophie, but that didn't erase the damage to their marriage and family. Back home, Ellen stood by the kitchen table, clutching her bag strap, staring at an empty mug. Her mind spun between Sophie's hospital room, Mike's anger, Emily's silence, and Tom's cold distance. She had to return to the hospital for donation tests, a terrifying yet hopeful chance to do right, even as her family fell apart. Emily came downstairs, tired and tear-streaked. She didn't speak, only took an apple from the bowl. I'm going to the hospital, Ellen said softly. I'll be back for lunch. Call if anything happens. Emily nodded, voice barely a whisper. Will you see Sophie? Tell her I want to meet her when she's better. Ellen's throat tightened. I will, honey. Walking out, Ellen felt Emily's gaze follow her, the only warmth keeping her from falling into the abyss, the sharp antiseptic scent and murmurs of St. Anne's hospital greeted Ellen, but today everything felt heavier, as if every sound reminded her how much was at stake. She approached the front desk cautiously. A different nurse eyed her with suspicion as Ellen explained. I'm here for donation tests for Sophie Davis. Are you family? The nurse asked, her tone professional, but her eyes sharp. Ellen's throat tightened. Yes, I'm her aunt. The nurse handed her forms and directed her to the lab on the 3rd floor. As Ellen moved down the hall, she felt judgmental stares. Nurses, visitors, even the janitor. She knew the rumors, the woman who gave away her child now trying to make amends. Shame pricked her skin, but she pressed on, determined to help. In the lab, a middle-aged doctor with tired eyes reviewed her paperwork. We'll run blood and compatibility tests for a possible liver transplant. It'll take a few hours. Are you ready? Ellen gripped her bag. Yes, I want to help Sophie. The doctor warned. The surgery would be serious for you, too. Are you sure? She thought of Sophie, her fragile face so much like Emily's, her weak voice in the hospital room. Memories of holding the baby, then giving her to Laura, flooded back. That decision had cost her family dearly, but she couldn't turn away now. I'm sure, Ellen said firmly. Do whatever's necessary. The tests dragged on, needles, questions, cold gel for ultrasound. Lying on the table, her mind raced. Mike's anger, Emily's confusion, Tom's cold distance. Each test felt like a step toward redemption, yet she knew it might not heal the broken family. When it ended, the doctor said results would arrive tomorrow. Ellen left the lab, feeling the weight of her past crushing her. In the corridor, Laura approached, her face pale but hopeful. You did it, she whispered. Thank you. Ellen nodded, distant. I did what I had to. Doesn't mean I forgive you, or myself. Laura's hands clenched. I know, but Sophie's all I have. I believe you're doing this for more than duty. Without a word, Ellen walked away, Laura's gaze following her. Alone in the car, Ellen gripped the wheel, tears streaming down. She'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. Waiting at home were more tests, Mike's fury, Emily's silent questions. Back at the house, Mike sat in the living room, backpack at the door as if just back from Brandon's. His hair hung in his eyes. His stare was cold, distant. Ellen froze in the doorway. Mike, she said softly. You're back. He looked up, voice harsh. Don't think I'm here because of you. Brandon's parents took him, so I had to come. He stood abruptly. Don't talk to me. Mike, please, Ellen pleaded. I'm trying to make things right. Do you think hospital tests will fix it? He snapped, voice thick with rage. You abandoned Sophie. You destroyed us. I don't want your apologies. He stormed upstairs, slamming the door, a thunderous echo of her guilt. Ellen sank into a chair, trembling. Mike was right. Her sacrifice wouldn't erase the past, but it was all she could do to prove she wasn't the woman who walked away. Emily came down quietly, worry in her eyes. Mom, were you at the hospital? What did the doctors say? Ellen met her gaze, heart sinking. I passed the tests. Results come tomorrow. If I match, I'll donate to Sophie. Emily nodded, tears glistening. That's good. I want her to get better, but Mike's so angry. And Dad, he won't come back, right? Ellen's tears fell freely. I don't know, honey, but I'll do everything to protect you and Sophie. This is my responsibility. Emily stepped forward and hugged her gently. Ellen held her close, feeling a flicker of hope amid the wreckage. She knew the road ahead was painful. Tom was talking divorce, Mike might never forgive her, and Sophie still didn't know the truth. But this sacrifice was her chance at redemption, and she was ready to pay that price. They shouted at each other, Laura calling Ellen a coward for running from the truth, Ellen insisting Laura could never understand her pain. Then Ellen left, their bond snapping like a fragile thread. You're right, Ellen admitted quietly. I ran away. I couldn't face Sophie or accept I wasn't her mother. But you chose silence. You cut me off, just like I did you. Tears streamed down Laura's face. I tried to reach you. I sent letters, photos of Sophie when she was little. You never answered. I thought you didn't want us. I blame myself, but you left first. You pushed us away. Ellen's heart ached. She remembered the unopened letters hidden away, too painful to face. I couldn't, she whispered. Looking at her broke me. Laura stepped closer. We were both wrong. I shouldn't have blamed you. I knew it hurt you, but I couldn't lose Sophie or you. I'm still your sister. I want us to find a way forward. Ellen's eyes glistened with tears, but a flicker of hope appeared. I don't know if I can forgive you, she said softly, but I have to save Sophie, not for you or me, but for her. I promise I'll do everything to keep her alive. Laura nodded, tears flowing. That's all I ask. But Sophie deserves the truth. Maybe not now, but someday. Are you ready? Ellen looked down, trembling at the thought of telling Sophie. I'll think about it, she said quietly. But not today. First, I have to save her. Laura reached out, but Ellen pulled away gently. I have to go. Call me when you get the results. Thank you, Ellen, Laura whispered. Ellen left the hospital, weighed down by the conversation. Tears fell as she gripped the steering wheel, feeling clarity amidst the pain. Forgiveness wasn't ready, but honesty with Sophie, whether through words or actions, was her path forward. Saving Sophie was her step toward redemption. At home, silence filled the house. Mike was locked in his room, avoiding her. Emily sat in the living room, eyes fixed on the window. Mom, Emily said softly, have you seen Sophie? How is she? Ellen sat beside her, voice tired but warm. She's resting. I talked to Laura. The test results come soon, and I'll do everything to help. Emily's eyes filled with tears. That's good. I want to meet her when she gets better. She's part of us, right? Ellen squeezed her hand, heart heavy. Yes, she's part of us. Outside, rain fell harder, marking time for Ellen's fragile family. Tom was talking divorce. Mike's anger was sharp. Sophie might never know the truth. But that painful, honest talk with Laura was the start, even if forgiveness still felt far away, and saving Sophie was what kept her going. Ellen woke up a day later, her body heavy and aching, her throat dry. She stared at the white ceiling of the recovery room, the dull pain in her side a constant reminder. A nurse noticed her movement and smiled softly. You're awake, Mrs. Harper. It's over. Sophie is okay. Ellen's voice was hoarse. Sophie, she's alive. The nurse nodded warmly. Yes, she's recovering. You saved her. Tears streamed down Ellen's cheeks. She'd given Sophie a second chance, the chance she denied her 20 years ago. But the sacrifice hadn't healed everything. Tom was gone. Mike resented her, and Emily carried her own hurt. Saving Sophie was her redemption, but it couldn't erase the cost of her past lies. 2 days later, Ellen moved to a regular ward. Laura was there first, pale but relieved. You did it, she said gratefully. Sophie's getting better. Ellen nodded, distant. I promised. How is she? Stronger than she seems, Laura said bitterly. She asks about you. I haven't told her the truth, but she senses you're more than just an aunt. Ellen's heart sank. Not yet, she whispered. I'm not ready. Laura understood. She's grateful, even without knowing. Emily arrived next, pale but brave. She hugged Ellen, trembling. Mom, I was scared, but you saved Sophie. I'm proud. Ellen squeezed her hand, tears falling. Thank you. Have you seen her? Emily's eyes lit up. Yes, she's like me, but different. She told me about her drawings. I want to be her sister. For real. Ellen smiled through the ache. You will, she promised. Emily went back to visit Sophie, leaving Ellen alone by the window. The rain had stopped, but the house still felt empty. Mike refused to come. He called it hypocrisy. Tom was distant, talking divorce. Ellen's sacrifice saved Sophie but couldn't fix the broken family. Laura came back later. Emily and Sophie, they get along. It's strange, but beautiful. You gave them that. Ellen's voice was weak. I gave her life, but I lost my family. Things won't be the same. Laura squeezed her hand. Maybe not the same, but maybe something new. You made the first move. That matters. Ellen stared out, the sun breaking through clouds, but offering no warmth. She had saved Sophie, yet the pain for all of them remained. Redemption came with a price, and she would live with it one day at a time. Her phone buzzed. A message from Laura. Sophie wants to see you today. Be ready. She's still angry. Ellen froze. The moment she feared was here, but her resolve won out. I'll be there at 2. Emily entered the kitchen, school uniform rumpled, eyes shining with hope and worry. Mom, are you going to see Sophie? I talked to her yesterday. She's not as mean as she seems. Ellen smiled faintly. Thank you, sweetie. You hold us together. I don't know what I'd do without you. Emily blushed. I just want us to be a family, even if it's different. Mike's angry, but I think he'll listen if I keep trying. Ellen squeezed her hand. You're amazing. I'll see Sophie. Maybe then we can reach Mike. Emily hugged her briefly and warmly. Ellen stepped outside. The cold wind hit her face, but her mind was with Sophie, the daughter she'd given away and was now trying to reclaim, at least in part. Sophie stayed silent, clutching the blanket tightly. Ellen saw her anger mixed with something softer, an uncertain hope. You saved me, Sophie finally said, her voice quiet but firm. I'm grateful, but trusting you? That's hard. You're not my mom. Laura is. I want to understand, but not yet. Tears ran down Ellen's cheeks. I get it. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want to be here when you're ready. Sophie's eyes held pain and a flicker of warmth. Maybe, but I need time. She looked away, ending the conversation. Ellen stood, legs trembling, but heart quietly accepting the slow process ahead. Laura waited in the hallway, eyes full of questions. She's softened, Ellen said weakly. Not ready yet. Laura squeezed her hand. This is the start. You made a move. Back home, the house was quiet. Emily sat with an open book but watched Ellen closely. How did it go? She asked softly. Sophie's angry, but she talked. That's more than I hoped for. She might give me a chance. Emily smiled, squeezing Ellen's hand. That's good. I talked to Mike. He won't come easily, but I got him to agree to dinner tonight. Small step, right? Ellen's heart warmed. Yes, honey. Thank you. That evening, Mike appeared tense, eyes downcast, but stayed for dinner. An unspoken victory. I'm glad you're here, Ellen said carefully. If you want to talk, I'm listening. Mike scoffed, quieter now. I don't want to talk, but Emily's right. You're still my mom, even if I'm mad. Don't expect everything to be the same. Ellen nodded, tears in her eyes. I'm not waiting, but I'm here. Always. Emily watched them, hopeful, like she saw the fragile threads pulling them back together. Dinner was quiet, but for the first time in months, Ellen felt the family was still there, broken, but present. Mike's silence was progress, Emily was the glue, and Sophie, though distant, had opened a door. Looking out the window at the soft twilight over suburban Ohio, Ellen knew Tom wouldn't return. Sophie might never fully forgive, and Mike's anger would linger. But the hope in their eyes was more than forgiveness. It was the start of something new. Step by step, she would keep trying to be a mother, imperfect but present. She cleared the table slowly. Emily helped, sharing ideas to visit Sophie, while Mike stayed quietly nearby. Ellen knew the road ahead was long, but for the first time, she believed it was possible. Winter wrapped suburban Ohio in a thin white blanket. Ellen stood in her new Columbus apartment, surrounded by unpacked boxes and the quiet snow outside. The Harper house was sold. The small space smelled of fresh paint and fresh starts. The surgery that saved Sophie, the divorce from Tom, Mike's anger, Emily's efforts, and the delicate bond forming with Sophie had changed Ellen. Returning to her insurance job, she found comfort in routine and small victories. Her connection with Sophie grew slowly through careful messages, each one a flicker of light. Tom visited Mike and Emily on weekends, but kept his distance from Ellen, polite but cold. Mike began reaching out to Sophie, their chats sporadic but meaningful. Emily, ever hopeful, wrote stories about them, bridging the gaps. Ellen unpacked a photo album of Mike and Emily at the park, smiling but aching. Sophie's face, sent recently by Laura, glowed from her phone screen. Full reconciliation was unlikely, but acceptance was enough to keep moving forward. Her phone buzzed. A message from Sophie. "Can we meet tomorrow at the park, 2 p.m.?" Ellen's heart leapt. Their hospital meeting had been painful but hopeful. This invite was progress. She replied, "I'll be there, thank you." Her fingers trembled with hope. Emily entered, backpack heavy but eyes bright. "Mom, I wrote a new story about us, Sophie, Mike, even Dad. Want to read?" Ellen smiled softly. "Of course, you're the glue keeping us together." Emily shrugged, cheeks pink. "I just want us not to lose each other." Mike's still angry, but he wrote Sophie yesterday. They talked music. That's good, right? Ellen's eyes filled with tears. "Very good. Thank you for not giving up." Emily hugged her warmly. "Mike said he'd visit you next week. He won't talk much, but he's trying." Ellen squeezed her hand, grateful beyond words. The next day, Ellen stood in the snowy park, coat buttoned tight, eyes scanning the paths. Sophie arrived, dark hair under a hat, blue eyes cautious but warmer than before. "You came," Sophie said, voice even but soft. "I wasn't sure," Ellen replied, throat tight. "I wouldn't miss it," she said gently. "Thank you for coming." They walked slowly through the snow, the silence heavy but no longer hostile. Sophie finally spoke, her voice low and cautious. "I've been thinking about what you said, why you gave me away. I'm still angry, but I see you were hurting. That doesn't excuse it, but I understand a bit." Ellen's eyes filled with tears. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," she whispered. "I just want to be part of your life, even if it's a small part." Sophie stared at the snowy trees outside. "Laura's my mom," she said softly but firmly. "But you gave me life twice. It's hard to process, but I don't want to hate you." Her eyes showed pain and a flicker of hope. "Maybe we can start small. Just coffee, no promises." Ellen nodded, tears streaming. "I'd like that." "Thank you, Sophie." Their talk was brief about the weather, Sophie's drawings, but every word laid a brick on a fragile new bridge. Ellen felt her heart lighten, not from forgiveness, but from Sophie's tentative acceptance. It wasn't complete, but it was a beginning. Back home, Ellen found a note from Emily. "Mike agreed to dinner on Friday. Don't give up, Mom. I love you." She smiled, clutching the paper. Mike was slowly opening up, proof that change was possible. Emily's efforts to weave the family together were the glue holding them. Ellen opened her laptop, writing not stories like Emily, but a diary, a way to understand pain, sacrifice, and hope. She wrote of Sophie, Mike's softer silence, and Emily's steady faith, the anchor in her storm. That evening, Ellen called Tom, her voice calm. "Mike and Emily will be here Friday. If you want to come, they'd be happy." Tom hesitated, polite but distant. "I'll think about it. Thanks, Ellen." He hung up, and Ellen knew he wouldn't come. But knowing he was still part of their lives kept a loneliness at bay. The next day, Ellen returned to the park lighter than before. Sophie was there, her hat dusted with snow, a tentative smile on her lips. They sat, breath misting in the cold air, and Sophie pulled out a small drawing, a tree under snow. "This is for you," she said softly. Ellen's fingers trembled as she took it, eyes filling with tears. "Thank you. It's beautiful." They sat quietly, watching kids build snowmen, snowflakes drifting down. This wasn't full reconciliation. Sophie still kept her distance. Mike hadn't forgiven. Tom was gone. But this moment, this gift, was proof life went on. Ellen found peace in that. Her growth wasn't in fixing the past, but in accepting the fragile, imperfect family they'd become. Looking at Sophie, she asked gently, "Want some coffee?" Sophie's smile grew a bit. "Yes, but I'm still crying." Together, they stood and walked toward the cafe, steps crunching in the snow. Ellen knew the road ahead would be tough, but this path was hers now, one step at a time, with those willing to walk beside her.